Since COVID began, everyone has lived in confusion, and making sense of advice of experts has been a problem. So everyone should ponder who's been driving the narrative and have we been played as fools? Because science has lost out to politics, and it hasn't been science setting the policy. More so, it's been politics masquerading as science, and it's eroding our trust. And when policymakers and the media refer to the science, whose science are they referring to? Because scientific research usually brings with it debate, and yet there's been no debate. Anyone attempting to do so is shut down. Blind compliance to accept a narrative and not look at what leading global scientists have been presenting that contradicts the political narrative is disturbing. Very few have asked what the science really is. If blind faith is an excuse for failure to question, then Australians have lost the ability to critically think. The Wuhan lab theory exemplifies that. Whatever the source of the virus, science, not politics, should guide us to the answers. The mask debacle and Anthony Fauci's admission he only wears a mask because of optics if one of the lies perpetrated against humanity. Being played as fools is like the distasteful aftertaste of a rotten curry. And it's theatre of Fauci. Scientist turned political bureaucrat. A political manipulator who may have helped engineer one of the greatest deceits of humanity. Fauci's manipulation of truth and reality is an example of politics over science. When the Wall Street Journal publishes the concerns of credible medical professionals stating politics, not science, is behind the failure of health officials and the media to fully inform the public about the potential risks associated with COVID vaccines, questions have to be asked. At The Informer, we believe giving voice to those with an alternative view and examining alternative treatments is important. Former Liberal and now Independent Craig Talley underwent consistent ridicule by the media for expressing an alternative view. He was mocked for questioning policy and advocating for alternatives to vaccines. And he was attacked for cautioning against rushing the rollout of vaccines. And yet, it seems he's been vindicated. Much of the evidence emerging around vaccine trial work not carried out to a gold standard is concerning. Politicians and government-paid medicos can't just dismiss the evidence and declare there's nothing to see. These vaccines, more than likely, have some uncommon but extremely serious side effects. The emerging data must be examined. While mounting evidence continues to show ivermectin as a highly effective, safe and cheap treatment against COVID, it speaks volumes for Kelly's courage to speak up when others ridiculed him. The evidence around ivermectin is peer-reviewed and published in reputable medical and scientific journals and delivered by world-leading medical experts. Experts risking careers to tell the world about ivermectin. Ivermectin is part of the science too. So why are alternative scientific views being ignored? How is one expert more credible than the other? Why are some scientific views censored? And would respected experts be doing what they are doing if there was no substance to their story? If they're wrong, then they should be proven wrong and not silenced through cancellation. Censorship only causes suspicion. It undermines confidence and stinks of abuse of power. Media that doesn't seek the truth and refuses to cover both sides of the story fails its basic premise as a news organisation. When peer-reviewed, evidence-based science is allowed to be labelled as disinformation or misinformation because the alternative contradicts the narrative being driven by policymakers, people should be concerned. Australia's Professor Parodi developed a globally successful therapy for peptic ulcers, announced a triple therapy off-label, ivermectin-based treatment for COVID last year. Professor Parodi's work was ignored in Australia by all governments. When non-government scientists become the arbiters of truth who decide between one scientific view over another and one label of science and the other as misinformation, the world is edging towards George Orwell's Ministry of Truth. Censorship has never served humanity well, and ask those who have lived against a racist regime.